I've not seen such bravery.
When I was a kid, the mall was presented to me as some kind of magical place where anyone could become one of the cool kids. I placed the blame mostly on the show The Weekenders, who not only sang about malls in their theme song, but who also set my expectations for weekends way too high. I wasn't going to the mall or going on pizza runs during my weekend, I was at home watching The Weekenders. But anyway, what do you think could be cooler than going to the mall? Well, how about building one? No? Well, we're doing it anyway.
Mall Tycoon 3 is the latest game in the Mall Tycoon franchise, none of which were developed by the same company. The game we're looking at today was developed by Cat Daddy Games, who you might recognize from one of their latest development efforts in which you play as a bird who shits all over everything. That's a good sign. You know, I really like how nothing on this cover is terrifying, not in the slightest. Not this, or not even this. The game opens with a total and complete lie. I mean, look at this booty-shaking janitor, and look at how happy he is when he looks at the time. What kind of janitor gets this happy over the grand opening of a mall? What, is he like, oh boy, I just can't wait to pick up after all these disgusting people and terrifying tweens. The main menu features a bunch of creepy looking mall walkers with some fake shops in the background. I've now decided that if I ever open up a store of any kind, it's either gonna be called Swanky Town or Health Nugget, because those are just some awesome store names. There are some challenges we could do, but I just kind of feel like trying to make the biggest and best mall we possibly can, so I'm gonna play the Sandbox Mode. Well, it looks like our mall is being built in the most boring city in the world. There's a crowd of people gathering on the lot, and I haven't even built anything yet. Well, okay, it's time to give the people what they're asking for. We'll drop a floor down and add in some stores. Is 4 stores enough for a mall? Well, it better be, because that's all I can afford right now. We've got Thrift Barn, Twisted Pretzel, Circuit, Shit, and Music, Bitch. The people in this game are so fucking stupid. Aw man, I just got a delicious Twisted Pretzel. If only there was somewhere to sit. If only there were some tables 10 feet away from the store, you stupid douchebag. And you know what? Let's talk about these tables here for a second. What kind of tables and chairs need to be repaired after just a few people use them? These tables apparently. And I know you're probably thinking, you know, those tables look totally fine to me. But despite looking like a totally functional table, people just refuse to sit down at them. They would rather just wander around aimlessly with their food. Now, how do you think you fix a table that's broken even though it's not really broken? By doing jack shit, that's how. And right after he waves his wrench around, this lady is all like, hell yeah, this table is fixed as shit. You know what, I kinda like this guy. 2 things need repairs right in front of him, and he's all, nah, I'm gonna take a break first. You know what, standing near this stuff I have to repair is just a little much for me right now. I'm gonna go stand even further away. Then when he finally decides he's ready to do some work, he waggles the wrench a little bit and is like, yep, this shit's fixed now. Welcome to the haunted Halloween Mall from hell. Come see spooky attractions such as the floating head, zombies, and old people. Hello. Yeah, so there are actually zombies in this game. Here's one approaching the mall now. Lucky for me, I invested in some top-notch security here, so I don't think we have anything to worry about. So what exactly do mall zombies do? Well, you might think that they roam the mall looking for innocent victims to quench their thirst for brains, and you'd be right. Look at this lady here, she doesn't stand a chance. Just kidding, they do fucking nothing. And as pointlessly as he arrived, he vanished, leaving no lasting impact on myself, the mall, or anything, really. Now, I would have imagined that running a mall would be difficult, especially when zombies were factored in. But it turns out that managing a mall is one of the easiest jobs in the world as long as you can navigate the menus. And what is with this menu design here anyway? Looks like it hopped right off an elementary school worksheet. You're able to change how much the stores have to pay you to stay in your mall, as well as how much of their profits they pay to you. I found out that it didn't really matter what you set these things to, because if the store fails and they have to leave the mall, you can just build a new one. And so I waited, not really having to do much of anything aside from having to watch my bank account grow. At one point, I actually decided to invest some funds back into the mall, so I built new stores and added a second floor, which I then proceeded to fill with multiple copies of the same pizza place. Despite the fact that people love pizza, and the fact that people at malls love going to malls where the second floor contains nothing but pizza, Ian's magical land of a shit ton of pizza failed to gain attention from mallgoers and had to be shut down. But that won't stop an artist from creating. If you can't already tell, this game did not hold my interest very well. It's not difficult to make money, the game looks like this, and building a mall just isn't really an interesting concept. Let me build something where I can watch my customers have fun, or let me make badass animal pins and then release the animals. That's what I want. Instead, I have the joy of watching people wander around aimlessly and buy things. Yay. But just because I think a game is subpar does not mean there's no fun to be had. It's time to really get creative and see if we can build a mall that is not only profitable, but is also hella rad enough to attract the cool kids like Amanda Bynes or those two little hotel fuckers. It's like Billy the mall planning badger always says, if the cool kids go to the mall, then the rest of the customers will fall. Oh. So I expanded the Mall of Amusica a little to make room for a new store. So far all I've done is choose pre-made retail outlets, but it's time to actually create my own store. Of course, I decided to make a game store, but it's unfortunately impossible to rename the shops. Although Game Guy is an okay name, I guess, I feel like I could have come up with something a bit better. Like Game the System, Play the Game, or Ian's Totally Bitchin' Store with games. We've all experienced the shopping disaster of being surrounded by too many options and not being able to decide what we want. And that is the problem that my gaming store aims to solve by offering just 2 copies of one product. There are also 4 cashiers, which makes the store seem even more fancy. Unfortunately, this didn't really work out. Although I did get more traffic in Game Guy than I did in Pizza Land, most of the traffic was just people using it as a shortcut to the exit of the mall. Failure after failure. If not Game Guy, then what is it that these people want? Is it a 3-story mall with only 1 store and some sort of obstacle to overcome? Cause that's what I built. An empty room that leads up to an empty room that leads up to a super difficult maze that leads to a sunglass hut. Now, as you probably guessed, this idea did not work out. Nobody ever even made it up to the maze. It was just a disaster. Was it because the idea of a 3-story sunglass hut was a bad idea? Well, of course not. That idea is badass. It's because these little fuckers were looming over my mall, driving all of my customers away. God, it's just so fucking creepy. I needed just one more idea. One idea that would draw the crowds and finally get me into the Mall of Fame. And then I created it. The greatest mall ever made. It consists of one long spiral hallway that leads to a clothing store. If you don't see the pure genius in this design, allow me to explain. First, the mall's unique shape will attract customers at its grand opening. At about the halfway point of the hallway, customers will start getting paranoid. Is it shorter to continue forward to the store or to turn around and leave? 10% will turn around, deciding that they'd rather leave. And that's fine, I can deal with 10% leaving. The rest of them will continue forward, muttering things like, well, I've come this far, what's the worst that could happen? And other things that people say right before they die. Most of the customers won't make it to the store. They'll probably either go insane or die before they can even get close enough to hear the obnoxiously loud music and the smell of douche cologne. This is how we get new customers. You see, the people's family will become worried and venture into the mall as well to try and save them, thus repeating the cycle. Those that actually do make it to the store seem reluctant to leave. They buy one thing, then leave, then turn around and come back. My guess is that they either don't want to walk all the way back out, or they feel like they should make this trip to the mall really count, so they go back in to buy more merchandise. Either way, I figure I should have a good-sized colony of people living here within the next few months. Mall Tycoon 3 is not a good game, but it's not really a bad game either. It works, it's playable, but it's just boring and feels like a quick cash-in. Although there are some standout titles, Tycoon games have a lot of entries like this. Lifeless games produced because we all know somebody's gonna play it regardless. Unless you're some type of mall enthusiast, I don't think you're really gonna have the desire to play Mall Tycoon 3. And if you do, well, your face is dumb or something.
Well, your face is dumb or something. That's a horrible ending to this video. I gotta fix it. Aha! Now this is how you end a video. I just gotta hit record here.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like or a comment. Also, if you're new, you could subscribe. And you could check out some of my other videos over games you've probably never heard of before. And to those of you who are returning viewers who have already seen the videos and subscribed, thank you. I love you. Kind of.